Hey, what's up guys? Different kind of video today, and a video that I wasn't sure whether or not to make. I'm going to be talking about diversity, about discrimination, inequality, and how all of that might impact us as Formula One, as the Formula One community, and how we may have impacted it as well. And if you want to leave, that's totally fine, but if you do want to leave at this point, I won't take up much of your time. Be aware that you may well be part of the problem that I'm going to be talking about. Because I want to talk about people sitting quietly and doing nothing, something that I openly admit I've done for a long time, too long. And one of the reasons I wasn't sure about making this video was because it felt like maybe I'm just jumping on the bandwagon here. But I hold my hands up and say that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm jumping on the bandwagon because this is a bandwagon that's well worth jumping on board. The cause is worth fighting for, so I encourage you all to jump on this bandwagon if you're not already on it. One of the reasons that I don't have experience in all of this, direct experience, is because I've grown up as a privileged white male. Middle class probably background, spent a long time in Formula One. I've never had the struggles that lots of these people are struggling with every single day. In fact, most of the biases that exist in the world are biased towards people like me. And then once I grew up and left school, I went into this world of Formula One that's on a whole other level of elitism. An industry that's almost entirely male, white dominated. Yes, it's changing a little bit now, but just a little bit. And after so long, that's way too late. I spent 10 years at a leading Formula One team, and in that 10-year period, I had one teammate who was black. He ended up being my roomie for a number of years, my brother from another mother. Rodney, great friend of mine, but one guy in 10 years who wasn't white on that team. That's ridiculous. How many people in minority groups are there as team principals, as team owners, as people who are part of running this sport? How many people are there in the entire Formula One community from minority groups? Not many. And I tell you what, I bet there are a few that aren't even willing to stand up and admit to being part of some of those minority groups through fear of not fitting in or not being welcomed or standing out. And that's a problem. If there are kids in this world from minority groups who are looking up at Formula One thinking, I'd love to work in that industry one day, but then looking at it thinking, but will I be welcomed? Will I fit in? And looking around, they wouldn't be too surprised if they were to say, I wouldn't be too surprised if they were to say, no, of course I'm not going to fit in there. That's a huge problem in itself that we need to start addressing very quickly. This is a video about not just how Formula One has been slow, too slow, but how we're all too slow, off the mark in dealing with these things. The COVID-19 global pandemic has really struck home for me how we are just one human race. That global pandemic hasn't discriminated against people from different parts of the world necessarily. It's affected, or it has the potential to affect, everybody because we're human. And we have fought back as humanity against this global pandemic because it's something that's affected us as a human race. We've shared knowledge and understanding, we've shared research, we're sharing medical facilities and equipment. We're working together to fight back against this. Well, why shouldn't we now be doing that against this discrimination in any form to fellow humans? Because that's all this is. We are fellow humans across the world, some of whom are struggling. Our brothers and sisters are struggling. If it was your brother and sister in your family, you'd do whatever it took to help them out, to stand with them, to fight with them and fight for them if they were struggling, if they were being persecuted. Well, that is happening all over the world right now, not just in America, everywhere. And we as a human race need to stand together to make sure those people don't suffer anymore. It's not fair. We need to be kind. You know, I'm in no way would I consider myself a racist. I would like to think I don't discriminate against anybody. I'd like to think I'm a kind person. But I will fully admit I have not done enough. And that is almost just as bad. Standing by and letting these things happen because they don't necessarily affect you in a negative way personally is as much of a problem as doing the acts themselves. Make today the last day that you allow that to happen. Make it the first day that you take a stand on this. If you see somebody discriminating, call them out. If you see it happening on social media, fight back, call them out. It's our duty as fellow humans to stick up for our brothers and sisters wherever they are. And the reason I wanted to make this video was to say my message to you is educate yourself, and I will put some links in the description of the video to help if that's what you want to do. Educate your children, educate older members of your family or your community that may have grown up in very different times, because times are changing. It may be late, we all may be late to the party, but better late than never. Educate yourselves. In my mind, in my little world, there are only two races that matter: the human race and the motor race. Look after each other, folks, and I mean that. Look after each other. Look out for each other, be kind, and I'll see you very soon. Ta-da.